Assalamu alaikum. Kaifa hal, marhaba, nasal san, khoshamde, tiko, buongiorno, and bonjour. Welcome, viewers, from wherever you may be in the beautiful earth, the globe. We welcome you to another episode of Deen Seekers. Today, the topic of discussion would be what Muslims' children need from their parents. So I know usually tradition is what parents need from their children, but we're going to start off with what Muslim children need from their children. We're obviously going to constrict it with time. We're going to be hitting on certain topics, but it's your job, it's your duty. Dig deep into your thought processes and leave us comments. Tell us what we should discuss. Add your experiences, because this certainly is a lot of it from my experience, because I ain't no student of knowledge. I ain't an imam. I ain't studying any specific Islamic courses. I'm just a member of the community that you may be. You've tuned into YouTube or Spotify. So these challenges and these topics resonate with me as a father. I'm a son, I'm a friend, I'm a confidant. So maybe we can share each other's experiences. We have Ustadh Umar, as you're familiar with, from Al-Rahma Masjid in Leeds. And we'll be discussing this topic of what Muslim children need from their parents. So please stay tuned in and give us comments and feedback. And once again, whatever goodness comes from this, it's from Allah. Whatever shortcomings, errors, they're from me and the shaitan. So please be forgiven. Please be forgiven. And now, without further ado, we start with this discussion with Ustadh Umar and yourselves. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Ustadh Umar. Lovely to see you again. How's your week been?
Alhamdulillah, been good.
Plodding along.
Yourself?
Met your targets?
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, usual challenges and learning and contemplating. One of those weeks, predominantly with the children. Allah Mubarak.
Alhamdulillah.
So today, as we discussed earlier, topic is around children, parents, and we're going to start off with what Muslim children need from their parents. So we're going to start off with the children's need. It's going to cross over, admittedly. So kind of like providing a strong Islamic foundation. That's like kind of the core idea. In a world filled with distractions and challenges to faith, parents must be providing a strong Islamic upbringing rooted in values that help children stay grounded in their identity, religious identity, culture, yes, in what's permissible from the corners of the world. So if we could kind of navigate and start discussions maybe on, first and foremost, which is the most fundamental and important point, is to teach the children to love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our dear Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, instilling the importance of Salah, Quran, and understanding of Tawheed, the oneness of Allah. Leading on to the importance of being role models ourselves, because children will be imitating their parents. We know this. We know this from the Deen. We know this from psychology. We know this from case studies, etc., actions, more than their words. Because you can lecture them all you want until you're blue in the face, but they're going to copy what you're doing. Yeah. And so, how do we, as parents or parents to be, ensure that the Islamic practice is consistent? We flutter up and down. So, this, and then the significance of connecting children with Islamic education and madrasa, weekend schools, talks, whilst balancing their secular education. And this is something you're familiar with because you teach the children, you lead the prayers, you advise people. As per our last podcast, discuss with children their needs, and you're discussing parents their needs, whether it's marital, whether it's issues they're having at work or anxieties, etc., etc. So we'll start off with providing a strong Islamic foundation. Ustadh, jazakallah khair.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu salam ala rasulillah. I think the first thing that's very important that we understand as parents towards our children is the aspect of hidayah, of guidance, and to know that, as Allah says in the Quran, saying to the most guided person and the one who is responsible for the guidance of humanity, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. وهو أعلم بالمهتدين. That you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you surely cannot guide whoever you like, whoever you love, you cannot guide them. Rather is Allah is the one who guides, and Allah is the most aware and most knowledgeable of who is most befitting to be guided. Absolutely. So here it's important to understand that guidance is in the hands of Allah, and we need to understand that. And upon us is what we call hidayat al-irshad, meaning to guide them. We have to do our bit to guide them. And upon Allah is hidayat al-tawfiq, meaning Allah is the one who will actually guide their hearts.
Absolutely.
So that is the first aspect that we need to understand. We fulfill our obligation, and we ultimately, Allah is the one who guides them. And just a quick example here, the example of Nuh alayhi salam, a great prophet of Allah. Nuh, one of the greatest prophets of humanity. And his own son, as we know, he didn't come up on the ship.
Yes.
Are we saying that Nuh didn't do his obligation? No, he did his obligation better than any of us. But this is Allah showing us in the Quran that even the best of parents, the best of humanity, the Prophet of Allah, even his own children sometimes, if it's not meant to be for them to be guided, then that's the reality of life, subhanallah. But that doesn't mean that now we say, okay, I'm not going to do my part. It's important, like you said, that we do our obligation, which is what we call hidayat al-irshad, the guidance of the hidayah of trying to give them the right guidelines, give them the right tarbiyah, give them the right nurturing. So that's just a starting point, inshallah, just to kick it off, to understand that this is when a person understands this, then he realizes I have to put my trust in Allah when I'm dealing with this matter.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Resonates, because it's like at times as a parent, you're forever finding new ways or evolving techniques, and with the age, from a baby, toddler, to the age of 7, and this is something you can hit upon the 3 stages. So as throughout the journey, Allah Mubarak, my eldest is like 27, youngest is 12, and it's the strategies you have to continuously evolve, change, fit their needs, fit your needs, expectations. And there's usually conflict within that. However, I'd like to point this out. How I'm raising my 12-year-old daughter to the eldest son, her brother, times have changed.
Of course.
So strategies have had to change and evolve. And as time's going, as we're faced these in these days and the years to come, I think that period is more unforgiving. If you follow me on this, meaning that you have to evolve and stay on top of your children without suffocating them with your, with them retaining their religious identity. It is challenging, and how the children think.
And subhanAllah, like you said, that's such an important point. Like for example, if you compare it to marriage, when you newly get, newlyweds, there's that romance and the love and whatever it is. Now, 10 years later, nobody says that, you no longer love each other, but the love has developed. So likewise, your relationship with the child, just as your relationship with the mother. Your relationship with the child has to develop. So like you said, how you deal with the 12-year-old is going to be completely different to how you deal with the 27-year-old. And it's just, we're talking about the 3 stages. I love this thing. I don't know, maybe you can relate to it better.
I've come to
seen all that. It's what they say, the first 7 years you play with your child.
Yes.
The next 7 years you teach your child.
Yes.
Your child's teacher, and after that you're his friend. That's it. There's no getting too involved. Not like what's it called? Micromanaging their lives. But at the same time, you have to be that friend that's there for them. I don't know, maybe you can better relate to that in terms of
a friend, a confidant, a trustee, a financial advisor, a medic, psychologist, a therapist, a counselor. It's never ending. It's not, even at the later stage, when Allah Mubarak, the children are somewhat more well versed with life and religion and their identity. They've still got challenges, and they're a part of you. And they're going to do stuff that you used to do. They're going to do stuff that is totally alien to you. Find the middle ground. That's my advice to parents and parents to be. Find the middle ground. Be forgiving to yourselves The children need this. They need to, now how do I say this without getting in trouble? They need to make their mistakes. However, there has to be a firm understanding that they can then recoup and do a U-turn from these mistakes. They can learn and get the fruit and, flush the waste down the toilet, to be frank. And there's some mistakes that the children have to absolutely realize that don't go down the path, you're going to get stuck in a bottleneck and there's no turning back. So it's that conversation when you're older. It's somewhat easier because it's like, hey, son, hey, daughter, we did this, that didn't work out, we tried this, how about you try this? And all our answers are in the Quran and Sunnah, and there's history. But in the current times, it is very important that you are the advisors, the friends, the listeners, and you're ready to be advised by your children. Very important. And the younger ones,
be humble to
absolutely. Listen, when you say friend, yes, without a doubt, first you're that father, and then within that category or that circle of being a father or a mother, there's friendships, advisors, the cook, the adventurer, the laugh, the joker, etc., etc. But they've got to have that ability, and parents as well, to have a quick switch where you flicker the switch, it's time to get stuff done. It's flick of a switch, it's time to humor it. Flick of a switch, it's time to now, sit down and have a deep discussion, hard-hitting discussion without getting personal. One of the things I would say I've learned is criticize the mistake by all means. Do not criticize the child. Don't get personal. And at the same way as parents, we expect that from the children as well. Don't criticize. We've had a hard life. Our parents had a hard life. Yeah. We only come to understand that now, what turmoil our parents went through to raise us, because we're going through that turmoil now. And when I say turmoil, I mean, it could be challenges, and ways and techniques to learn. So, I mean, hitting upon that, I think, from the 12-year-old now, their challenges are different to what the elder ones' challenges were. So navigating them and getting the advice. This is the funny thing. So to raise your younger children, you're getting advice of your older children because they're more in touch of the world around them.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and also it's like anything. You always want to. Anything in life has a cycle.
Absolutely, spot on.
You get your feedback to improve the system. That's with anything, whether it's workplace, whether it's systems, whether it's an institute. There's always that cycle of constantly improving. We're never gonna get it perfect. We have to strive towards perfection, of course.
Of course, perfection. It's not that saying that. Yep, I've got it all sussed out. I've got it. I'm an excellent. Not at all. By no means am I an excellent parent. No means I'm the perfect parent. We strive towards it. We try our best, and it's all, as you mentioned, it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most generous to give us these opportunities and the children the opportunities. So we're just playing that role. As I say, poster boy. All the work's going on in the background, right? So it's important. And to conclude just that little part of the discussion, so moving on, like studies, there's various studies in religious education. They've shown that children who are introduced to religious practices and stories and historical facts and classes early on are more likely to retain their religious identity as they grow older. So that's,
that's important because, they say that obviously the first few years of their life is what shapes them.
Absolutely.
That's the key, time, or the most primary time for them to form their views, their values, their beliefs. And if you, like you said, it's unforgivable at times. If you've not taken that time, then it could sometimes be too late, unfortunately. But
yes, absolutely.
If you use that time when they're young, the time when they're forming their opinions and their values and their beliefs, to really emphasize their religious identity, that you are Muslims.
Absolutely.
That is, subhanAllah, that's the time where they will remember that. And so many times I've seen this happen, as an imam, and looking at youth, you'll find youth that go down the wrong path. They're going to all types of things.
Okay.
The worst type of sins that you can think of.
Absolutely.
And subhanAllah, after they get lost and they realize that, what am I doing? My life is off track. What is the first thing that they look towards when they want to start correcting themselves? What were my parents telling me? What did my parents do when I was young?
Then it's like poof.
Yeah.
Then it's like a meal that's ready to consume. So for years and years, 10 years, 20 years, it's been marinated, and now they'll digest it. So it's very important. And you talk about the time span, and you talk about how, that time passes. From a neurological point of view, we know children after the age of few months, they can't learn certain things. A year can't learn certain things. 2 years can't learn, because that ability of the neurons connecting together, speaking very loosely, they stop. So to get certain habits to rewind, you can't do it. You can't, because your brain's stopped producing or allowing that sort of development, and then you develop otherwise. Then society shaping you, and parents obviously foremost are shaping you, friends are shaping you, and that's another topic we'll talk about. So most definitely, when that time's gone, it's gone. And as a parent, it could be, a form of disappointment within oneself. And I felt that at time as well. Only if and then a shaitan gets in there, only if you'd sort of spent some time. As parents, as our children are more needy, we give up our dreams and needs and wants, because, we're almost living through them.
But you see, that's subhanAllah, what you just said there. This is exactly what Rasulullah ﷺ said, about how every child, مَا مِن مَوْلُودٍ إِلَّا يُولَدُ عَلَى الْفِطْرَةِ, that there's no child except that they're born upon the natural disposition. They naturally want to be a Muslim. Whether they are born in a Christian family, Jewish family, a polytheist family, whatever, an atheist family, Allah has designed them naturally. And there's many researches that have been done that children are inclined to believe in one God, subhanallah.
Yes.
And that is something that our Prophet ﷺ said. And then what does he say after that? وَأَبَوَاهُ فَأَبَوَاهُ يُهَوِّدَانِهِ أَوْ يُنَصِّرَانِهِ أَوْ يُشَرِّكَانِهِ. It is the parents that make them either into a Jew or into a Christian or into a polytheist, to show you the impact that you have as a parent. Don't belittle your impact as a parent. Don't realize the power of influence that you have.
Absolutely.
We rush to say, oh, look what social media is doing and all this. That is something we're going to get into, and it's important.
Yeah.
But don't belittle the power of authority that you have in shaping your child's life.
Absolutely. And it goes back to the point where, even before you're saying or lecturing, I say lecturing because, sometimes children think, oh, here's another lecture. They're looking at you, observing you, and then I see certain traits now in my children as adults, and I think, wow, where did that come from? Even like hobbies like perfumes or the sort of cars they like, and the way they eat their food, or what sort of friends they've got, and what their tolerance as young adults, what their tolerances are. And you think, ooh, okay.
You look at it in terms of like, wow, that was me when I was younger. Like, that sort of,
And there's an interesting fact here, because I have my, Allah Mubarak, be blessed with some very close brothers and friends. Allah bless them in all their endeavors and make us successful in this world and the hereafter. Beautiful people. Couldn't have made it throughout them, and now they've gone to Malaysia or Dubai and other parts of the world, Jordan, whatever, but they'll see me after some time, and they'll see my children, Allah Mubarak, for example, my sons, and they'll be like, wow, he's identical to how you used to look during school. And I'm like, really? It's like, wow, he speaks just like, he's just a, and as a father, I don't think, no, or they'll be like, subhanAllah, your younger daughter's an identical copy of your mother. Because, when they were young, we used to go in and out of each other's houses, and it's like, wow, that's just like your mother. Oh, that's a bit like your dad, mate, kind of thing. It's like, steady, mate, what's going on, so they pick up characteristics. So of course they're going to pick up from their parents, and it's a very good point. I'm going to read into this as well, that they're picking up from the parents a lot more than we like to believe, and even from the Quran and Sunnah, how they're picking up. So it's so interesting.
On that point, actually, it reminded me of I was spending some time with my uncle and my mum's brother, and I was just talking to him, just having a conversation. And he was staring at me for a long time, just looking at me. And then I was like, this was just like maybe last year or a couple of years ago. And he's like, you know what, Umar? And he's like, you are exactly like how your dad was when he was your age. Like, he's like, the way you talk, the way your like facial expressions. I was like, that's like amazing. Like how that can happen. It's,
and how the appearance, the way we talk. I've had my dad's cousins, and it's like, blimey, Ifti, you're a copy of your dad, eat a copy. or you know, the elder aunties would be, you know, look at him, you know, he's absolutely just like his father, just start like his father, you know, and even stuff like, oh, you know, he's hitting the stars just like his father. And it's just like, subhanAllah, there's so much we pick up unconsciously or subconsciously and that we act out later on. So
just to like nail down on that point, that shows you as a parent how much influence you have that to the way that they're speaking, to the way that you say, like maybe even their likes and their hobbies.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're going to be a complete copy of you, but
no,
there's so much that they take from your life, that they observe from you.
Yes.
SubhanAllah. And it's I always use this because when I used to be a teacher, and this you know is so important when it comes to parenting as well. It says to the child, tell me. So the child is telling the teacher, you could say. The child says, tell me something and I will forget it. Show me something and I may remember it.
Yes.
Involve me.
Nice.
And I will definitely learn it, or I will definitely remember it. And that is your child. You'll tell your child 10 times, don't be doing this, don't do this, don't do that. But when your child sees you doing certain things,
they're going to do what you're doing,
exactly,
mate. You know,
yeah.
so so you know, the parents, there is an influence from parents, and there's another level now. If we go deeper, like, you know, genetics as well. You know, how they'll maybe copying people in the family they've never seen before. You know, on the blood level, genetics level. I think the foundation is that what we can be happy with is the Islamic identity and the foundations, that we know our boundaries. And you know, I say to my children all the time, if it's halal, I'll take you to the moon. If it's halal, we'll do this X, Y, and Z. You know, if I'm telling you for one thing that you can't do, and I'll tell them there's 10 other things you can do, and I'll give them some examples. It's very important. It's like, oh, but Dad, but Abu, I want to. And it's like, well, I think there's better options out there, actually. I think you're selling yourself short here, love. You know, I think it's like, and think of other stuff. So it's always not taking anything away from the children, but giving them better options and other options. That's one thing I've learned, is never say no and end it there.
You know exactly what you said. This is what the Sharia came with. And subhanAllah, this is what the scholars, they say, that the Sharia did not come to prohibit something except that it provided a better replacement. You know, subhanAllah,
Wow.
this is important, that you don't, if there's something that is harmful for your child and your child wants that, exactly what you did is so important in an Islamic perspective as well. Like, you want this thing which is haram, there are 10 alternatives, like I said, that are halal and that are pure.
Yeah.
And Allah says this in the Quran, that that which is tayyib and pure is not to be compared to that which is khabith, which is impure and filthy.
Of course.
وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَكَ كَثْرَةُ الْخَبِيثِ. Even if lots of that, having lots of that evil, or having lots of that which is despicable, even if you like it,
Yes.
the reality is the tayyib, the pure stuff that you have is better. And that's why, as parents, it's very important that you don't take something away from your child, except that you provide them with something that is a good replacement. And this is unfortunately what happens sometimes with us. And
Yes.
we're all guilty of this sometimes.
Of course.
We'll stop them completely from doing something,
And then it's like,
and they feel that they're being deprived.
of course.
So if you don't give them the replacement, they'll go after that thing that you deprived them of behind your back.
absolutely.
That's the reality, unfortunately.
Absolutely. They will do stuff, you know, that maybe things we've done in the past and regretted, and they're going to go through that regret as well. They've got their own learning mechanisms, etc. So if we move on now, so I mean, it's endless, you know. But on another point, so it's like we talk about what most of the children these days struggle with is navigating through social media and digital platforms. So the core idea over here of like us, the Muslim parents and the Muslim parents to be. I don't know what their challenges are going to be like, mate. It's a challenge of guiding the children in a digital age where social media can shape identity, views of the world, views of themselves, views of culture, religion, even travel and food and behavior. So, I mean, I want to navigate and discuss, so there's obviously the obvious and the less obvious risks associated with unsupervised social media use. Exposure to I'm going to say indecent, inappropriate content.
Yeah.
And then there's the element of cyberbullying,
Yeah.
pressure to conform to unrealistic beauty of life challenges, and all these things. So what are the practical tips on setting boundaries on digital devices? How about, monitoring apps?
Before we get into that, just to link it from the last point, because it's linked.
Okay.
You know exactly what you said about offering a better replacement.
Yes.
I think this is very important, because all around them is social media.
Absolutely.
So if you were to completely stop them from accessing, the different technologies that are out there, and they're seeing people at school talk about it, or they're seeing it exposed everywhere else, cousins, family, and all these things, you depriving them to that level is going to cause them to rebel.
Yeah.
You have to give them a little bit, but as you said, it's got to be supervised. It's got to be in a way that you're in control of it, and you're not completely opening the door and letting them, get on with it. And, subhanAllah, getting on now, obviously, to what you're saying, there are many, as technology is developed, you've got to also be savvy, tech savvy as well.
Yeah,
you've got to make sure you're aware of,
Yes.
okay, if he's going to use social media apps, then he's going to use certain ones, not, these ones.
Yeah.
Why? Because I have control over these ones.
Yeah.
I know that the content on this one is going to be more suitable for their ages. So you've got to set those boundaries for them, and that can only happen if you yourself are tech savvy and aware.
Absolutely.
So you've got to learn as well about these things.
It's a very good point. I've had a background in IT, various software, etc., to infrastructure. So we learned about it. These children, they're born with it.
Yeah.
Technology is their life. It's ingrained into their very myism, the way of thinking, etc., and how society is steering, and fashion and trends and stuff. I mean, come on, back in the days, man, we had to go to the library, catch a bus, take a photocopy, spend that 5p for copy, on the way, get up to a bit of mischief, come back, and where were you? Library, so we had to really watch our backs, bumping into someone, doing our work, and have a little cheeky fizzy drink. But now it's like, hey man, I don't have to even get out of bed. I'm going to travel the world. I want this beverage. I want this food. I want this fashion. Ooh, that's nice. Ooh, she's nice. Oh, he's nice. Oh, maybe this is how I should be behaving.
Anything I want to know, Google.
There's no research going to the British Library, London, and researching and spending the whole day, and then writing up your own stuff. Now it's like type. Oh, cut and paste, and what are you saying? It's just like, wow. It's just like, wow, we had to really put it out there, And listen, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's wonderful, because there's a lot they can learn.
Yeah.
But what is that lot? So we have to then zoom into it and say, what are they actually learning? So we know travel, food, education, values, morals, beliefs. It's like, how do we, keep an eye on it? It's very difficult.
But you see, the aspect of knowledge is great. I mean, like you said, it's good that they have all that knowledge available for them,
the right knowledge
at their fingertips and all that. But the danger of that also is the fact that they'll become too I don't know how I would say this, but not too complacent, but almost like too weak-minded.
Dependent on it.
Yeah, dependent.
Yes.
Like you said, when you were younger, you wanted to go find out about something.
Yeah.
You had to go and strive for it. We hear stories of the companions or the tabi'een. They would travel from Mecca to Baghdad,
there you go,
to Egypt just to get a single hadith. Whereas today, you want to get hadith, you lying in bed and you can search for that hadith that he had to travel thousands of kilometers for.
Keyboard warriors, keyboard scholars, and all that term comes to,
there is a level of being aware that you don't give your child that much ease to life, that they just they become, like I said, dependent on it, and if it crashes, then it's like everything's crashed around them, and they can't, they don't know how to react. They don't know how to continue with things. So they need to have a little bit of difficulties. They need to face obstacles when they're learning. I think that's very important. It filters them out to really be, people that are young people that are learning and that are, subhanAllah, acquiring knowledge and things. I think there is an aspect of being able to of supervising what they're consuming.
Yes.
You need to, and this is the reality. You cannot open the door and say, I've got to give them the freedom. you've got to give them what they perceive to be freedom.
Yes.
And at the same time, you have to show that this is my kingdom.
Yeah.
That's your child.
Yeah,
that's not
of
anybody
course.
else's child. That's
your
your
legacy,
child.
mate.
Exactly. That's
your
your
legacy.
Are you going to allow for TikTok, whatever they are, YouTube influencers? Are you going to allow them to shape your child rather than you? That is your child at the end of the day. That is, if you're going to have any influence over anybody in this world, you are most likely to have the greatest influence on your own children. Why are you leaving them to these other?
You can't. It's dangerous because a lot of these influencers, they're not qualified themselves. It's all show, it's all brands, it's all this, that, the other, and they're really miserable in their own life. I mean, that's a different topic. I mean, but it's like they're exposed to a lot of tips of the iceberg.
Yeah.
However, as a parent, I feel that it's what's underneath, laying, half a mile underneath that strength and foundation. And it is like, hey, look, this is who I follow. This is who we get talks from. This is where we learn from. These other people, they're giving you viewpoints and thought processes, and how to process your thoughts, and you're influenced. It's like, but there's no backing on it. It's like a house of cards, one sneeze, one snot, and it's coming down, so it's forever saying to the children, whatever you read, whatever you see, you need to substantiate it. And it goes back to what we were saying, fact find, research,
challenge them.
There's case studies and findings and various elements of research that then are later debunked. Just because someone's saying it doesn't make it right. Oh, I read it on Twitter. Who wrote it? Oh, X, Y, and Z. And what's his background? And he got it from this. But it's just like, did you know that after 5 minutes of research, that the paper they were quoting was actually debunked, and there was better research that totally threw it out the pond. So it's that, once again, when we talked about this last time, is like, have that skill set of substantiating, fact finding. Spend that time, because there's a lot of stuff on the internet. It makes you feel good and you think and you want to quote it, but it's until someone else says, well, actually there's another angle to this. So it's very important with social media, I feel, and I teach this to my children, go through a process of debunking and saying, is this really valid? Can I take this on board? Can I expand upon this? Is this taking me anywhere? Is this substantiated? Is there any historical facts?
I mean, and what you're basically doing there with your children is getting them to be critical thinkers, which is so important.
So much misinformation.
Yeah, so most people today, unfortunately, just, as we say, sheeple. the
Don't
YouTube,
do sheep, mate. Yeah, YouTube.
YouTube influencer says this.
YouTube and Spotify. Yeah.
This TikTok star said this, or this influencer said this, and okay, everybody's gonna follow the wave now. Everybody's gonna ride that wave because
got to do it because everyone in school's doing it. And
but you when you tell your child, what did you consider this? Did you think about that? You're getting your child to go, to take himself out of the sheeple, and to be, somebody that's a critical thinker, and he's thinking for himself, is becoming an independent thinker. And this is very important, subhanAllah, even in terms of like from the Islamic perspective as well. Allah, whenever he mentions the majority of the people, it's always in a negative manner, that the majority of the people, they don't know. Majority of the people are astray. Majority of the people are this. So it's never a good thing just to follow the wave. Never a good thing just to follow, the trend, the latest trend. You have to equip your child to be a critical thinker.
Absolutely.
Say, hold on, everybody's going down this lane. They want to follow a certain influencer, but I'm a Muslim, and that's important. They have the identity. I'm a Muslim. I'm not somebody that's just going to follow. And subhanAllah, this is the way of the previous nations. People never change. This is the sunnah of Allah in His creation, that people never change. If you look at the previous nations, it's the same thing.
Yes.
That this is what our forefathers told us. This is what we're upon.
Yeah.
That's how we are.
Yeah.
But Allah has given you intelligence. Allah has given you a brain. Allah has given you the ability to critically think.
Yes.
So don't just go and follow that trend.
Absolutely.
And that is why it's important that you, as a parent, you challenge your child, like you said. You challenge them.
Yes.
You get them. You need to have those discussions with them. You need to get them to think really, like, hold on. You want to follow everybody that's just going down that line. You're a Muslim at the end of the day. You're somebody who Allah has blessed with a deen.
Yes.
Allah has blessed you with a sound mind. Use that. Don't belittle those favors that Allah has given to you.
Most definitely. And that comes with be the best at what you do, and do it to the best of ability, do it to the best of your ability. and to build upon it, but know what's worthy of doing. What's worthy of doing, and it's critical thinking, not overthinking, critical thinking, positive thinking, and taking on constructive backed up criticism, because that's going to make you grow. Putting up your hands and saying, oh yeah, I was wrong, that's good. And it's better to say, wrong, I'll learn, I'll fix it, how would you like me to fix it? And these are the facts. So it becomes this critical thinking becomes a process in throughout their lives, whether it's diet, fashion, religion, without making it obvious, careers, marriage, everything. It's like, don't look at these shortcuts and someone's just showing you something and you believe it. My daughter had a very good point just on Friday. We went for a one-to-one pizza. We have a little catch-ups as individuals, because it's very important to have that individual time with individual children. Very important. And she said, "Oh, well, you know what? That's just don't make sense." Because half of these kids at school, they're just quoting people at social media. They don't know what they want themselves. And she goes, they've called me, "Oh, you're a this, you're a that," or "Oh, because you like reading books." And I'm like, it's fine. Direct them, advise them. But it's okay. You carry on what you're doing, reading and researching, and you've got your own identity and hobbies. And at the same time, you've got great friends as well. However, you'll be leading these people. But you need to be a just leader at the same time.
Her having that understanding at a young age is a blessing, wallah. Like looking, not just going in with the crowd.
Yeah, not at all.
That people are. So
I'd rather have a few friends, quality friends. That one friend would be worth 100 of other riffraff friends. But at the same time, it's like advise, show by, the way you talk, communicate, the way you are, so people become interested. We're somewhat diplomats. If you might, if correct me if I'm wrong.
And that on that point actually, that leads us, I think, to a very important point is leading by example.
Yes.
You can't expect your child to be somebody who's critically thinking, somebody who's leading others by example, if you yourself are not being the example for them to follow.
Absolutely.
Like subhanAllah, I mean, let's look at this from an Islamic perspective. You want your child to pray salah, you want your child to take salah properly, when it's Fajr time, you're sleeping away. When it's time for you to pray salah, you're busy watching the football game, playing the video games, whatever yourself. How do you then expect your child to take on that? You want your child to take their deen seriously and learn about their deen, yet they see nothing from you actually wanting to learn. Okay, this is a new thing that's come, let's see what the deen says. I want to research first what is the Islamic guidance on this. If you're not doing that yourself, don't expect your child to do the right thing.
You can go blue in the face, they ain't going to do it, mate. They're going to pick up on your actions. And and it leads on to, I say to children, if you're about to pray, go like, "Hey, Abu, we're about to pray," or tell your brother or tell your sister, we're about to pray, because as a human being, I need that push. So when I give you that push or that gentle reminder, it's standard, because I need it too. So you have to show your vulnerabilities as a parent, and they want to see that. They want to see a human being. The children want to almost see your vulnerabilities as well, and you have to ask them, what do I do in this? What do I do in this? What do you think about this? You have to. You absolutely have to. You don't have all the answers, because there's some answers that the children have that you don't have. That's for some parents. Some people might be a hard pill to swallow. Or they came out of my reproductive system. What they're going to do.
Yesterday I was changing your nappies and you're telling me.
It's like, you what, mate? No, actually, my 12-year-old can educate me and influence me, and so can my 27-year-old. And that's the friendship part that comes in. I'm your father, always going to be your father within that circle of things. We're each other's advisors. It's the influences once again, because my parents used to say similar things, and I say similar things, but it's just like, okay, so how do I resonate with the children? What are the process and procedures that I need to update for my children, and how are they going to carry on forward as well? And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make all our children tenaciously strong, confident, bold, and look beyond the horizon, and be adventurous and be firm and be fair. and be loving and caring.
But I mean, I really want to hit back with this one, because obviously you have, mashallah, with your children, may Allah bless them and preserve them.
Ameen.
This is a really important point, and I think it's the point of communication. And perhaps, those that were like my generation sort of thing, where my generation or older, we were used to, for example, our parents were more traditional, you could say. We weren't growing up with kind of all these different social media,
of course,
external influences. So I think a point here that I really want to I think we need to discuss is the importance of open communication with your child.
Absolutely, that's so good.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
Me personally, and up until today, I appreciate this. So, for example, with my father, he was somebody that was very strict. I didn't have many conversations with him. It wasn't like an open conversation I would be having with him. But that strictness is in the society that we were living in. It really helped me, and it
pays dividends now, mate. Yeah. I understand the same thing. It pays dividends now.
However, saying that, I can't be the same to my son in this day and age. So I mean, obviously you got here, mashallah, the experience. I really want, from your point of view, the importance of open communication. What do you think about that in terms of the importance of it?
Most definitely, going back to our fathers, Allah bless them immensely, and keep them happy and make them enjoy their life, and and may there be plenty of ease in the hereafter. Outstanding people that had outstanding challenges, specifically, like if we're talking about mothers and fathers. And fathers, the hardships they went through, the racism they went through, the fights and the scuffles they went through, the blood, sweat and tears, how they were focused. And they never barely used to, go out, chill out with their mates, as I do, or we've done, or order this Uber, and it's to your doorstep. No, they had to really slog it out. Even preparing a meal, go out there and get the right meat. The hardship, blood and sweat. They never went out. They could have. Didn't go out buy these fancy cars. They only bought what they could afford, and even that they'll give a tiny amount, to spend on themselves. The rest of it about family. So, and that strictness I appreciate and I respect now. Maybe my teenage years are like, oh bloody hell, mate, what's going on here, mate? I've got it so hard. I'm like, alhamdulillah. I thank them, and first and foremost, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that our parents done this. We'd be totally out of control. No identity, nothing, no backbone, nothing. So we would have melted every single hardship we faced. The environment will be chewing us up. So alhamdulillah, we've got that. I would say in a very nice way, a warrior mindset. That you throw all these challenges and these hurt and these difficult times, and we get up, brush ourselves. We might have the scars to show for it, but our fathers really did prepare us for that, mate. Whether you like it or not. And that's the difference between some of the people who have melted and gone on to not only substance abuse, but some weird ideologies, etc., and this, that, the other. It's like, it's like almost, some of these guys want roses from their women folk. It's like, no, I'm going to go pick the roses, go through the thorns and give it to, the warrior thing, I'm going to go. And it's like so diluted. Because it's like, can't hear criticism. He corrected me. And as I said to you earlier, criticize me. I want constructive criticism. I thrive upon it because that's me learning. My friends, they'll pull me aside and say, mate, what you doing? I'm like, thank you very much. Good one. Anything else? And then there's the ones that's like, yeah, you're doing all right. And you don't really go somewhere. So what our fathers taught us, that strictness was actually a blessing and a lesson, that you're still up there standing on your 2 feet dealing with challenges. We've got different challenges with our children. They had different challenges. So the children need that open communication. Yes, they do. And I'm going to say, be very careful. I say this is to give no discredit to our parents. 100%. Allah bless them immensely in this day and age. And what we've learned from the Deen, where Allah's educated us with his mercy, that emotional intelligence, the kind words, sitting and biting your lip, and not like get out, it's like, come here, I'll show you who daddy is. It's like really biting your lip, having that patience. And maybe you could hit upon this sabr, and you understand what sabr really means. You have to really bite your lips and really hear them out, and that you could potentially wipe the floor with your kids, not physically. I'll make that absolutely very clear, everybody. In terms of facts, versus fiction. But you have to be patient. And even when I correct my children, give them a discipline, and discipline means verbal, non-aggressive, substantiated, and make that very clear. And I'll say to him, when it sinks in, let's have another casual comment. Let's have a casual conversation. So it could be in the car, we could be going out for a meal, we could be chilling out, we're playing, I don't know, PlayStation with them, having a kickabout, and be like, oh dad, Abu, you said about this, and then you've got a natural communication. It's like, well, my message still stands. Maybe I could have conveyed myself better. Now this is me as a father, maybe I could have conveyed myself better, but like you, I'm still learning.
But that's so important. I just want to touch on this because you said, like, for example, being like, bring their friend, like, you're playing games with them, you're sitting with them, you're having them casual conversations with them. That allows them to open up with you. Now,
get things flowing.
I mean, if you look at from before, like I said, there was not much external like you being at home. I'm saying when you're sitting at home, in the confinements of your own home, you had the 5 channels on TV, and that was watched as a family as it is. So you were in the presence of your father. You didn't have anything in your bedroom that could be an external influence. So
absolutely.
your father, maybe not having those open conversations that you maybe have today with your child, were perhaps not as important. If you see what I'm coming from.
Of course, I understand.
However, now with what they're being exposed to, and we talked about social media, the inappropriate content that's out there. If you're not having that open communication with your children, they're gonna start talking about these things with people that you don't want them to talk about.
Definitely,
but
100%.
I mean, if your child comes to you and says, Dad, I came across this inappropriate stuff. First of all, him coming to you, approaching, that's a big bonus for you. That I've opened those channels for my child to come and address me with it. I want to be the first one to tell my child about the things like such as pornography and things like that.
Of course.
I want to be the one to tell my child about the challenges of puberty, about the challenges of all these things. They're coming to me. They're not going to some random person at school that is going to send them down the wrong line. But if you don't have that open channel of communication, they will not approach you.
It's very true. You have to, maybe this cultural or maybe the pride as parents come in the way. You've got to have this frank conversation. Listen, correct me if I'm wrong, Ustadh. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Now, if it's in the Quran and Sunnah, Qala Allah, Qala Rasul, then why can't I discuss as a single parent with my daughters when they're going through their cycles, etc., and the challenges that come with it? I've learned so much recently. Research, speaking to pharmacists, doctors, etc. But you have to speak to your daughters, and they've got no one to go to but you. So it's got to be normal. Don't worry, I'll clean that. It happens. If I can't clean it, I'll challenge you. I'll buy you 10 other pieces. But I've had people in the community saying, oh, it's uncomfortable. Oh, you can't talk like that to your daughter. Like, so do you want me to allow them to speak to total strangers? Total unvetted people? So what the heck are you talking about? It's like, no, I have to. If it's in the Quran and Sunnah, I'm going to say it. Like, is that the right approach?
100%. Actually, the Prophet ﷺ, he praised the women of Al-Ansar. And he said why he praised them is because they were not shy when it came to asking questions. So them not being shy asking questions, that's one thing. And they're not asking anybody, by the way. They're asking the best of mankind.
There you go.
Rasulullah ﷺ. Like, he's the most pure person that you would not want to speak to. If there's anybody you didn't want to speak about certain things that are sensitive or personal, it'd be somebody that is like, as pure as the Messenger of Allah ﷺ. But look at how he, such a fatherly figure, that the women felt that they could approach the Messenger of Allah ﷺ and ask him these most private things.
Yes, of course.
And that shows you also, on the other hand, that Rasulullah ﷺ was giving them detailed answers that, that were fulfilling their needs, or answering their important questions. Now, obviously, again, like in your situation, like you said, being a single father, you have to take that role. You're not going to allow anybody else to come and take that role.
Of course I'm not.
100%, subhanAllah, you being there for them, and they will, definitely remember you,
Inshallah.
for this, inshallah. And this is something that the Deen is very clear with. When it comes to their time, you being open with them, teaching them these things is part of the Deen.
Of course.
How else are they supposed to know about tahara, about being pure, about all the Deen teaches these things.
Of course.
Inna Allah la yastahi min al-haq. Allah is not shy from the truth. Allah teaches us that we should not be shy from the truth. Yeah, there's an age, a time appropriate, but when they come to that appropriate age, you have to be able to teach them these things. Yeah, even if it's going to be an uncomfortable, it's going to start off to be a little bit of discomfort talking about that, but you've got to get over that.
Yes.
If your child comes tomorrow and his face, may Allah preserve them with all that craziness that's going out there. Your child comes tomorrow and talks about, he's being exposed now to pornography. Yeah. And that's a big taboo subject. Why are you talking about this?
No, not
and
at
you
all.
completely push him away. He's going to go to those school friends out there and they're going to send him down the complete wrong path.
Of course.
But your child coming to you, approaching you with these things, that's a big bonus for you that you've opened that channel of communication, that they've actually approached you.
Yeah.
You now need to have that uncomfortable conversation, but in the long run, you will appreciate the fact that you had that conversation.
Absolutely.
They came to you about it.
Of course.
They were able to, confide in you. I think that's crucial in this day and age.
They've got my daughters. There is the elder sisters and lovely daughter-in-law, that you'd pass on to from a woman's point of view as well, because I'm trying to develop this emotional, this state of mind that how a mother should give them that emotional and be sensitive about it. However, as us guys, sometimes it's just hardcore facts. This is don't worry about it. It's like so we have this, and along by going back to my younger son Ifti as well. He now knows when that time of the month is coming where the girls get a certain attitude, or whatever, and he'll get the water bottle. Do you understand? So it's like, perfect. You're going to be a husband. You're going to be a father one day. Better coming from you than Tom, Dick, and Alex.
And you know what? After not to make your head blow up.
No, astaghfirullah. No, not at all, man.
He would have not got that unless he's seen his father do that in the first place. And this is what I mean by leading by example. If you want we want people to look after our daughters. We want them to marry them and treat them in the best way.
Damn right, man.
Our sons, they're learning. And this is why, subhanAllah, the scholars, they say that the household is a madrasa. It is a school. Your household is a school. Absolutely. Your son is learning how he should treat women by how you treated his mother. SubhanAllah, SubhanAllah. Or how you treated, for example, his sisters. They are directly learning how to be.
Of course.
And your daughters are learning how they should be treated.
How they should be treated.
By seeing how you treat them.
Absolutely.
So, SubhanAllah, if the father is just very cold and there's no communication or anything like that, the daughters who are craving for that will go look for it elsewhere. So you have to lead by example. I think it's very important.
It's tough. I haven't got it right all the time. I've got it wrong, and I've learned a lot from raising my older daughters as well. May they forgive me as well for my shortcomings. And I think at that time there was like mothers to lean on and whatever. Not that I don't help my older daughters. There's been situations where they've needed to be in hospital. I've taken them, I've picked them up, I've been there for the point. I've been waiting at the the waiting room and having to deal with stuff. And one of my daughters had an operation, and I went there, and she was out of her head, because they give medicine and stuff. And she said something to the nurses, and I went in there. They were like, "Who are you?" I was like, thinking, they're like, "But you've abandoned her." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "But it's slowly." But when they realise, even the nurses and the people of professional, whether it's social services, whether it's CAFCAS, whether it's nurses and doctors, they appreciate that you're having these frank conversations, because don't think that the non-Muslims they've got it all, because some people are like, they have frank conversations. They don't. They were like, we really appreciate that you've had these conversations with your daughters, because maybe you've saved their life. Maybe you've just saved them a whole load of anxiety and trouble. So, hey, look, we've got the answers in the Quran and Sunnah. Okay, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Of course, you approach it delicately, but you have to know that you don't deal with it, mate. Someone else is going to be dealing with it, and you're not going to like their version of it. So you know what? Put your pride aside, guys. This is to the fathers, I'm saying specifically. It is. And even the women folk, the sisters that are single, they have to likewise now deal with men issues, you know, whether it's like wet dreams, etc., puberty, etc. And it's like, good on you, you know, good on you, because, you know, you're the teachers, you're the prime teachers of your children. So well done to you. And there's you know, difficulties they have to navigate. So I appreciate that, you know. And then there was another single mother recently said to me, she goes, it's easier to be a single mother if you're a woman. We're more empathetic, we're more patient, we're more tenacious. How do you do it? And I said, you know what? If it wasn't to go to the mosque and meet the right people, if it wasn't to read and get proof, you know, and substantiating what I'm reading, I'd be a lost cause, mate. You know, so it's important. You do, as you said, and it's no credit to me, it's all from Allah, all the goodness is from Allah, that the children maybe, Allah knows best, have seen me do something. My son, Allah Mubarak, he's Mr. Super Smooth, man. And I think, why, the lady's going to love you, halal way, you know, because the way he cares, the amount of strop he takes from his sisters, and I'm like, you're a better man than me. And I remind my daughters, you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with beautiful brothers, you know, very good brothers. And this particular brother, at his age, you should be worried about doing his thing, you know, being a cool dude, etc. But he's going to the shops twice in the middle of his meal. He's left his meal, so, you know, and it just happened yesterday. So I said, and he goes, it's all right, Abu, I'll go. So I'm like, take her. And she goes, oh, I'll go on my own. Not that she would. And he goes, no, you need your brother. And I was like, you know, heard him, you know, no, you need your brother. Come with me by all means, but I'm going to go with you. And I was like, damn, yeah, nice. You know, that's it. You know, it comes back down to it.
He's learning that accountability, and that's so important. You teaching them accountability, you know, subhanAllah. That is crucial. Rasulullah ﷺ said, كلكم راع وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. And this is something that people need to understand. Muslims need to understand. In a world where we're just talking about, you know, individualism, it's about me, myself,
independent,
and I,
freedom,
you know, I don't have to care about anybody else. Of course. Look at what Rasulullah said. He said, every single one of you is a shepherd, and every shepherd is responsible for their flock. الرجل راع على أهل بيته وهو مسؤول عنهم. The man is the shepherd over his household, his family, and he is responsible for them. والمرأة راعية على بيت زوجها وولده وهي مسؤولة عنهم. The woman as well, the mother, she is responsible for the house of her husband and his children, and she is directly accountable and responsible over them. So this is Rasulullah ﷺ telling us that the importance of accountability. If we don't have this level of accountability with our children, then we're setting them up to fail. But they will only learn it when they see you yourself being an accountable person. They see my father is responsible. He ensures there's a roof over our heads. He's putting the food in our mouths. My mother's given me that love and that care and that nurturing. This is them understanding life. But if they don't see that at all, then you're setting them up for failure. If you as a father, sorry to say, you know, you're a complete, you know, I don't know what you call them.
Censor it.
Censor
of course. Of course.
If you're not showing any accountability, you know, you're, for example, the women folk, they need something, and you say, no, you know, you go get it yourself, or you do it yourself. Like for example, you're saying, for example, that example where he's saying, no, I'll go to the shop and I'll get it. That's him taking the role of being a man.
Yes.
That I'm going to be financially responsible. I'm going to look after, you know, those who are depending upon me.
Of course.
So that, subhanAllah, is absolutely crucial from the Islamic perspective of being accountable and holding yourself to account. And
that's a very good point. You say accountability, and you mentioned, you know, being straightforward and clear. It is, accountability is important. And going back, it just occurred to me that, you know, certain things children pick up. You know, my elder children probably picked up some stuff from me. And I'll say that was wrong. Yeah. Blatantly, that was wrong. Allah's given me the hikmah now, little bit, what I have, I've learned. And thank you to the older children. Thank you. You're almost like the test subjects, the test dummies, or stuff like that. You know, beautiful children, you know, they've got their own lives now, you know, but it's like, through maybe you sacrificing certain elements of life and going through turmoil because of my failings as a father, I'll say openly, that these children are having a better opportunity now, and because they obviously look up to their older siblings, etc. Not that I agree with everything each one of them does, but they'll learn their own way. We're tested by our children as well, and our wives, etc. And our wives and our children are tested by the fathers as well. So some from the prophets to Pharaoh, totally different people, and the women, Noah's wife, and then Pharaoh's wife. So there's a contrast. I'm balancing it out here, guys. Balancing it out, so it's through that accountability. I always say accountability, man. You've messed up, put your hands up. I'm sorry, I'll fix it. How would you like to fix me? In fact, here's a penalty. To do that, you're more of a warrior and a strong character than any of these scapegoats that, oh no, it was this, that, the other. It's like, no, admit to it, because you're not an angel. You're going to make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We're all going to learn, as long as you're learning from those mistakes. So it comes back to accountability thing. Just going to lead you up on there. So love and mercy, open communication. Can you give me an example of love and mercy from the parents, like being understanding, and there's the mother's role, because there's certain things children pick up from mothers as well, that then you have to undo it, and then it stays with them, especially particularly the girls. But as the children are getting older, they stop doing certain things, they started doing certain things, and they'll refer back to certain people, and it's like, nah, that's not how it's happening. So going, I'll break it down. So love and mercy from the parents, like, because that's what they need from the children. That's what the children need from their parents. Love and mercy. But what are the boundaries? What are the limits? Because some mothers are like, I know he's doing this, that, the other, but I'm going to let him do it because my emotions are getting the better of me. So where's the limits? There's got to be boundaries, right?
I think that there's a very important thing here, and we'll take this into two,
please,
because both need to be discussed. There needs to be a fine balance. You need to have love and mercy. Love and mercy, by the way, these two words are very interesting, because they are the two words that Allah used for the Muslim household. When Allah said that it's from His signs that He created you and from your spouses, He created your spouses from you, that you may live with each other, and Allah has placed between you mawadda, love, or friendship, you could say, and rahmah, mercy and having compassion. So that is what the Muslim household was built upon. So love and mercy are very important aspects of, and the children growing up in a household where there's love and mercy are children that will have that safe home, inshallah. So that's one aspect that we can discuss now, and I say then that would lead us on to the other aspect of being straight and firm also, and being tough when need to be. So let's first go back to love and mercy, the importance of that. Looking at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, look at his life, look at his seerah, look at how he dealt with his own children, look at the love and the compassion that he had. His servant Anas ibn Malik, he said, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, not once, if I did something, he would not once would he reprimand me or be like tough with me and say, why didn't you do this, or scold at me. He always dealt with him in a loving and caring manner, because he was a young child. Likewise, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he dealt with his different wives in terms of their behaviors, how he reacted with them, all of it was through love and mercy. His own grandchildren, kissing them, playing with them. So you could see here that the Prophet ﷺ, his life and how he dealt with his family, it was based upon having love, showing that compassion, which is very important and needed.
Absolutely.
And even from the father, we're not talking about the mother. We don't need to speak about that.
That's natural. That's given.
That's given, mate. But we're talking about even the father. Here, are you telling me there's somebody more manly than the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Yet look at how loving he was to his children and to his wives. Look at how much compassion and mercy he showed to his women folk and his children. Now that we've said that, I think it's really important, because I don't think there is that you could say was an issue of the previous generation, the father not having enough love and not showing. But I think there's something very important that we need to deal with now, and I think you'll agree with me. I can see the smile, and that is the other end, and having that balance of being firm when you need to be, disciplining your child, and not obviously things. So I think that is a very important topic. Where are the boundaries? And absolutely. I want to start off by saying, obviously, a great hadith that we can build so much upon this hadith. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Muru awladakum bis-salah wa hum abna' 7 sinin." Command your children, tell them, order them and teach them to pray their salah, and they are 7 years old. Now, I'm going to mention something here, and it's not controversial. I've spoken about it before, and I'm going to speak about it again.
Okay.
وَضْرِبُوهُمْ عَلَيْهَا وَهُمْ أَبْنَاءَ عَشْرَ سِنِينَ. And let me say all in one go so that, we don't get taken out of context. Because this is the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why are we shy of what he said?
No, of course, I get where you're coming from.
And he said, and discipline them. وَضْرِبُوهُمْ means to give a hiding over the salah when they are 10 years old. Now let me say here, we are not apologetic over what our Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Like I said, he was the most loving man. Nobody is more loving to the family than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nobody was more compassionate than Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Yet why did he say these words? So important. And let me put it in there straight away before somebody tries to say, "Oh, are you condoning that you physically discipline your children?" There's a study in 2013, and you can check this out, by Albert Einstein College in New York. Albert Einstein, in 2013, they did a study to say that when older children, look at here, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Don't hit them when they're 7." And by the way, the Sharia it defines hitting is a hiding. No. It's not meant to physically hurt them.
That's
it's not meant to leave any marks,
I think
not break any
very
bones,
good point. Please
not
elaborate.
tear any skin. And we're talking here about and this is in the Sharia, a light smack. Where it's not so much of the pain, it's about my parent is upset with me. And look at this, that research that they did in Albert Einstein College in New York in 2013. They said that children who were older in age, and here Rasulullah saying when at the age of 10. Okay. He's giving you an age as well. The older children, when they have loving parents, that smack them or give them that little hiding whenever they do something wrong, it had a positive impact on them. And also, if you look at it from a legal aspect, here we're in England, by the way. In England, they have the Children Act in 2004. It says reasonable punishment. You are allowed, depending on the age of the child, you're allowed to lightly reprimand them physically.
Yes.
So you are allowed, according to law, to do that. Obviously, it has to be done in a manner that is, and this is what the Sharia said. Why are we
no knuckle dusters and baseball bats?
And we might have gone through, like, for example, previous generations, they might have gone through the whole.
I say that was part of my MMA training, my resilience training, my SAS training, and I thank my father for it.
But
no, it was cool, man.
It's 100%.
I love my body.
But
love it.
At the same time, here, let's not talk about what the culture aspect. Let's look.
Of course.
Let's focus on the Sharia. The Sharia makes it absolutely clear that you don't break bones, you don't cause marks on the body, you don't tear the skin or anything like that. And the point of it is not to cause them pain physically. The point of it is that psychological thing that, my parent is always loving, my parent is always compassionate with me. I've done something wrong, my parents hit me, I've done something wrong. You're there, you're disciplining your child, and believe me, like you just said, you're gonna thank your child when your child at that moment is gonna be like upset. Oh, why did he hit me? But when they grow older, they're gonna appreciate the fact that you had those boundaries and you made sure they didn't cross those lines.
I think we'll make it perfectly clear. Hitting doesn't mean marking the body, skin, breaking bones, drawing blood, having a good old punch up pub brawl. All right, mate. So it's none of that. Let's make that very clear, abundantly clear. It's like, I'll give you an example, right?
And by the just to clarify, the Children Act in 2004 applies here in England. I think in Scotland and I've got it here, 2020, Wales 2022. They've now completely prohibited that. However, in England, it is still a form of reasonable punishment. It's the force of the smack or the hiding, whatever. It has to be something that's reasonable. It's not just as our Sharia said. Our Sharia has said this 1,400 years ago. You guys saying this now in the 21st century. We've said don't break any bones, don't tear anything, and it's not something that every time they do something wrong you do this. You don't start off with that. Look at the hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, command them at the age of 7. How many years are you giving them? 3 years till they're 10. In them 3. So let me give this as a clear example. My child now is praying salah. Okay, 7 years old, start praying salah. Encourage them, motivate them. Okay, mashallah, you're praying. 8 years old, he missed the salah. Encourage him. You should pray your salah. 9. All those. It's all about motivation. Imagine all those years you're not touching him at all. You're not there's no discipline. You're not even disciplining them in that manner. When they come to the age of 10, all right, you need to be more accountable now. You need to be more disciplined in your life. Okay, you're getting that light smack. Why? Because I want you to be disciplined. That doesn't mean that you're just smacking them every day.
Yeah, no,
I
understand.
It's got its specific time and place, and it should be done as a last resort, of course, at the end of the day. And remember, in 95% of the time, you're a loving and caring and compassionate parent that's showing them that mercy. Imagine that loving who they love, and they feel that love from the parent. That parent giving them that light smack when they do something wrong, it'll make them feel like, okay, well, I've done something wrong.
Light smack. Light smack. We're not talking about aggression. We're not talking about violence here.
We're not talking about
talking about out of compassion and love. The same way if your child was about to jump in the middle of the road or fall off a cliff, trust me, mate, you'd be dragging in doing all sorts, mate. You know, so we take it. I mean, it's like I mean, I'm just trying to think. Give an example. I think it's at the most I'd put my hand on my child's shoulder. I said shoulder, right, for the haters out there, right? You know, shoulder, and I'd be like, well, let's take it easy now. Yeah, please understand. That's it. Even amongst friends, we're having a conversation, and you know, you just take all the emotions out. And if you were to put your hand on my shoulder, say, bro, I need you to listen to this. For me, that's a form of discipline as well, because you've broken character, and you're like, well, usually it's like, yes, son, carry on. I'll take it. I'll do the washing today. You can do the hoover. Don't worry. You know, go chill out. Go play with your mates. And it happens, right? But when you're out, like, well, stop. Let me just stop you right there. You know, let me stop you right there. It's like me tapping this table right now. Let me stop you right. That's what we're talking about, you know. So because there's a lot of haters out there. Like, you lot want, you beat your kid, you beat your wife, you beat this, and some people can jump on the bandwagon. You know, have a problem with their husband. It's like, oh, he's abused me. It's like, no, he stopped you from hitting him. You know, and it's so many cases. You know, I'm not saying that it doesn't happen, and it's very wrong. It does happen, you know. But then women beat the crap out of their husbands as well, and then we've got nothing to stand by because we're so macho. Oh, you know, we can take it. You know, so there's a balance, and what we're talking about is very clear. And please ask for clarification on this. You know,
I've been absolutely clear from an Islamic perspective. We have nothing to be shy about. The Sharia 1,400 years ago, in a world where probably kids were being beaten black and blue, the Sharia made it very clear that when you discipline your child,
these people want to complain now. There's children getting blown up around the world. So speak up about that first.
Exactly. SubhanAllah.
So, I mean,
that's the double standard.
Of course, there's plenty of double standards. Let's not get started.
Let's not get started
on that one.
So from the Islamic perspective, it's very clear. From a research perspective, I gave you that research that was done.
Fabulous.
To show you
it's in line with the law.
It's in line with research. It's in line with having. At the end of the day, it's in benefit to the state. It's in benefit to society to have children who are well disciplined, well behaved, well mannered. The children that just get away. Let's go in juxtaposition. The child who gets away with whatever they want to do.
Oh man!
You do not discipline them. You do not show them that you're upset. Imagine what kind of level of accountability you're teaching them. Tomorrow that child's going to become a thief. That child's going to become somebody who's going to go harm other people, take their property, take their wealth, because you didn't show them that they are red lines, and you didn't show them that you were upset with them when they
drug dealers, aggressors, rapists, you know, abusers, and arsonists. And come on, let's the
third aspect, the legal aspect. The reason why I've mentioned that Children Act 2004 is to say that those people who are implementing that aspect. Remember, we're not saying that this is a day-to-day thing. It happens as a last resort, and it happens from a parent who is loving, caring, and compassionate.
Of course,
we're not talking about some abusive, because they are out there. Let's be honest.
Of course they are.
There's abusive parents out there that will take out their anger on the
all
child.
Shapes and sizes and colours.
Of course, condoning this at all.
No, we actually we oppose that firmly. Violence and aggression and threats and etc. etc.
And subhanAllah, that goes, this is not an excuse by any means for a parent to become like abusive or to
not at all.
Take out their anger and aggression.
No, not at
Allah
all.
says in the Quran, وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظِ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ. When he talks about the believers, when he talks about people who have taqwa, when he talks about people who are muhsinin, who are good doers, he says they are the ones who control their anger and they forgive the people. SubhanAllah, if that is with the general people, then how about with your own children? Your child angers you, he's got more of a right, you have more of a right that you control your anger with him, and he's got more of a right that you forgive him.
This reminds me, correct me if I'm wrong, Ibn al-Qayyum,
Yeah.
when he said on the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah,
Yeah.
the parents are going to be asked about the efficiency of how they raise the children. Is this right or is this wrong? How they'll be asked first, how you were with your children, or communicated or raised your children, before the children are questioned as to were the children obedient to their parent. First it will be like, how effective were the parents, or something like that.
So I can't recall any particular, obviously Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah is a great scholar, but when it comes to issues like this, obviously we have to refer to either an ayah in the Quran or a hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But undoubtedly, as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you are responsible for your family.
Yes.
And there's a hadith which comes to mind where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that a man will be brought on the day of judgment, and this is along the lines of the hadith where he says, if he غش أمانته أو غش رعيته, he cheated his responsibility, meaning he didn't fulfill his responsibility as a parent, as somebody who's accountable for his children, then Allah will make Jannah haram for him.
Okay.
Allah will make Jannah haram for him. Subhanallah. So being accountable for your child, the accountability as parents, undoubtedly will be asked before on Yawm al-Qiyamah. Allah will ask us about this. The Anbiya, the prophets, they had this accountability with their own children. Allah says in the Quran, and remember when Ibrahim and Yaqub, when Abraham and Jacob, when they said to their children, what is it? Inna Allah astafa lakum ad-din. Allah has chosen for you your religion. فَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. So make sure you do not die except that you are submitting to Allah, except that you are Muslims. So subhanallah, he is prophets of Allah.
There you go.
And look at how they felt the accountability towards their own children, that he's on his deathbed and he's saying, listen, you guys, Allah has given you your deen, you know that you are Muslims, that's what your identity is. So this is
it's better. I mean, what I was saying, and I'm just saying, just by reference, this is what I was quoting. But you've smashed it. You've absolutely given something that was far more powerful.
100%. I mean, the point here is that the parent, without a doubt, is going to be accountable before Allah for how he brought up his children.
Okay.
And I would say, on that point, the parent is accountable before Allah before even having the child. What do I mean by this? Umar ibn al-Khattab, he said, and this is a quote from him, he said that the child has the right over the parent, that he selects for him, the father in particular, that he chooses for him a good mother. Before you even had the child,
there you go, mate.
That's the right of the child, that you chose a good mother for him. There's one narration, I'm not sure of its authenticity, but the points of it is so important. A man came and he complained to Umar ibn al-Khattab, and he said to him, my child, he is aq, he's somebody who's disobedient, disrespectful, he has no respect for parents. And Umar al-Khattab says, bring your child. The child comes and he says, you're not fulfilling your father's rights. So he says, do I have any rights upon my father? So he said, yes, you have 3 rights: that he chooses for you a good mother, he gives you a good name, and he teaches you the Quran. So he says, O Amir al-Mu'mineen, as for my mother, then she was a polytheist. He married a polytheist. My mother's not a good Muslim mother that is going to look after me. As for my name, he called me Ju'lan, which means like a dumb beetle.
Oh, wow.
And as for Quran, he never taught me a single letter. Okay. So Umar al-Khattab said, this is, this is your own doing.
SubhanAllah, wow.
So we're accountable for our children even before we have them. And that's for, those young couples out there, or those who are about to get married. And I always say this, whenever I get them young brothers coming and saying, I want to get married, I say, listen, I know you're in that kind of thing of lovey-dovey and all this, but look at that woman, and I want you to ask yourself sincerely, is this a good mother for my children? Make sure you ask that question before you get married. You're going to live with her for a few years, have a nice time and all that, but after that, she's going to be the mother of your children. Ask yourself, is that really the person I want to be the mother of my children? I try to make sure I bring this point up, especially when the shabab, they come and they want to get married. Oh, can you do the nikah? Have you asked her? Have you looked at her and seen her to be a good mother of your child?
Would you want your daughters to
put aside your lovey-dovey feelings for now, Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna last for a few months or whatever, or a few years, whatever. After that, she's gonna be the mother of your children. Are you happy and content with that person, that individual, to be the mother of your children? And same goes.
Yeah, the
for
vice
other
versa.
hand-
Yeah,
vice
would
versa.
you know one thing is, would you want your daughters to be behaving or carrying themselves the way your wife is, and then on the other flip side is like, would would you to the sisters, would you want your sons behaving and acting like your husband?
Yeah, it's powerful.
Boom. there you go. There you go. I mean, that's it's a very good point, and I think it's somewhat underestimated as well. I think looking ahead, I think Allah knows best. Allah is the best of planners, but we have to do our due diligence. Speeding on,
Yeah.
because we are kind of like chewing up, although these are just, I have to make it very clear, these are just the tip of the iceberg. This is just discussions, and there's obviously the accompanying videos of khutbahs and lectures that you can get more depth, Islamic referencing, etc. So Islamic education, let's talk about Islamic education, the children navigating through the modern education, schooling education, with their Islamic education and identity. So they're having to navigate with two things, maybe sometimes parallel, sometimes they cross, or sometimes they go in, a different spectrum.
Yeah.
How do the parents support them in balancing their academic and religious identities or religious education? There's the fact that the challenges they have, that they faced in secular schools, as per peer pressure to engage in activities that go against Islamic values, party, dating, drinking, this, that, the other, leading on to the importance of reminding the children that academic success is important, but not at all at the cost of neglecting their spiritual well-being. And then if you could kind of wrap it up and tell us how to empower children to confidently express their Muslim identity with all this riffraff and all this rubbish going on, and being accused of being X, Y, and Z. While at the same time, so they maintain their Muslim identity, wearing the hijab, taking prayer breaks, but also, and it's very critical, to respect the environment they're in.
And there's a lot to unpack here, and I think to start off with, it's very important to understand that teaching them from a very young age is important, because, like we said, that's the young age where they develop, where they start to form their ideas and their beliefs. So that's the time where you really want them to understand that you are Muslims. You this is your identity. You're a Muslim. Before anything else, you are a Muslim. Before you are a certain nationality, before you are a certain race, before you're a certain ethnicity, you are a Muslim.
That's it.
That is your number one thing, and that and planting that seed is the most important seed that you can plant in them. Now, how young is that? From as young as they are, children, as they're growing up, they're seeing you pray salah, and we'll see this yourself. Like, your 2-year-old, 3-year-old child, you're praying salah, they'll come and they'll imitate you. SubhanAllah. You're reading Quran, they'll come and they'll sit and they'll like read as if they're trying to read Quran as well. So that is all very important. You doing that in front of them, before seeing them, them seeing you observe your deen, will teach them the importance of their deen. Will teach them the amount of importance you give to Islam. I can't expect my child to be a good Muslim and I give no care to salah. I can't expect my child to be a good Muslim and I'm sitting in front of him and I'm, taking, may Allah save us, drugs and, living a life where I just commit haram openly in front of them. How can I expect them to have that Muslim identity?
True.
So those things are very crucial and important that we do that to start off with. The second point, obviously, is actually giving them the Islamic education, and that is important. Either finding a suitable madrasa. It could be online. It could be you going through it yourself, or the father who's got the time, sitting down with them on a daily basis if they can, at least a few times a week. And all right, let's learn about our deen. Let's learn how to pray salah. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, command them at the age of 7. So, start teaching them how to pray, how to do this. And this is an amazing sadaqah jariyah for you. Imagine. Of course. I always say this to parents. Don't allow somebody else, if you know how to read Surah Al-Fatiha, well, you teach your child how to recite Surah Al-Fatiha. Every single time your child prays salah, you're getting the reward for it. every single time.
Subhanallah.
And their children, when they teach them, you're getting the reward for the generations that come over and over every time that they learn that salah. So look at it as an investment as well.
Compounding sadaqah jariyah, compounding
SubhanAllah,
reward.
yeah, I mean,
Check that out.
It's amazing. So, obviously, if you don't feel that you're qualified enough to teach them certain things, then that's fine. Send them to a madrasa, find them an online. Just as much as you try to send them to the best grammar schools, and I want them to have tutoring, and I want them to have this, when it comes to the Islamic education, you're not fussed at all. How do you expect them to battle? And let's be real, what they're learning in schools and things like that, you don't agree with.
Where you've got that 5-6 hours a day.
Yeah, they're exposed to all types of things.
Yes, of course.
And you are not challenging that, and neither are you supplementing what they're learning through Islamic education. What are you doing for your child?
Absolutely.
How much do you really care about your child's deen if you're not making no effort with that? And I have to really, whether you like it or not, you really have to ask that question to yourself.
Absolutely.
Am I giving my child nobody's saying that, every child needs to become an alim, or it has to become a learned scholar in Islam. If you do that, alhamdulillah, that's amazing. But at least give them the fundamentals. Why your child should not say, I'm a Muslim because my dad's a Muslim. Your child should say, I'm a Muslim because I know why I'm a Muslim.
Of
I
course,
know why I worship Allah.
Important.
I know why I take Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as my example and I follow him.
Absolutely.
So that is very important that we have those discussions with our children and we teach them about their deen. قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Allah says, are those who know equal to those who don't know? They're not the same. Knowledge, we don't believe in this thing that ignorance is bliss. This is
No, it's not.
a concept that is alien to our religion.
Yeah.
Rather, we say knowledge is power.
Of course it is.
Knowledge is
Absolutely.
light.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's true. You've got to know, because there's a very good educational infrastructure in the United Kingdom to learn skill sets. However, it's the rest of the stuff they pick up from peers, etc., trends, and people from different backgrounds. How are the children going to be safe? Because they've got to not only have an identity. Oh, my name's Rolf. Oh, my name's Abdul. My name's this, that, the other. I'm a Muslim. No, why are you a Muslim?
Why are you Muslim? Yeah. And
Why? What do you stand for? And the protection is not just for our children, but the protection is for the very society they're living in, for the neighbours, the benefit of the neighbours, the fair transactions, how you conduct yourself, how you deal with grievances. Actually, this is good for even non-Muslims, because even the non-Muslims got rights upon you, how you conduct yourself. So, yes, for the people out there, you're trying to make religious children and this, that, the other, Britain for Britain. No, actually, this is for your benefit. So they'll deal with you fairly, they'll educate you fairly, they'll share their food with you as neighbours, they'll look out you, they'll make you cross the road. If your house was on fire, they'll go in there and save you and your cat or dogs. No, come on, so this Islamic education isn't just for the benefit of the children or their generations after. Actually, it's for the neighbourhood, the street, the area, the city, the county. So hey, listen, my kids went ahead and abused my neighbours. Don't worry about it. I'll be dealing with them first, mate.
Yeah.
We don't take none of that rubbish. Fairness is, even if it's against ourselves, justice. Even fairness, if it's against us, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Even if the most loved
stand
children,
for justice, even if it's against yourself,
even
or
if
your
against
parents,
yourself.
or your own children.
That's it, and that's so. This Islamic education and identity is actually a benefit for everyone else who comes in contact with our children.
Absolutely, and this is why it's very important that they understand that they are Muslim first. And
Absolutely.
I'll tell you this, people might say to you, and let's deal with this. Let's not be shy of this topic because it's important. And I know it might slightly go off our topic, but it is involved as well because we're talking about children here. Why is it more important that I tell my child that you need to identify first and foremost as a Muslim before you identify with anything else, including a nationality? Now, somebody might say, why are you not telling your child to identify firstly as British? Let me give you an example. I teach my child to be a Muslim. Like you said, a Muslim is the one who is the best to his family. A Muslim is the one who is best to his neighbors. A Muslim is the one who is best to society. A Muslim is the one who is best to his country that he's living in. If I make a good Muslim, that child can go anywhere in the world and they will be the best citizen of that country that they're in. If I say to my child that, no, you are only British, or you are only Italian, or you are only American, and all your loyalty and everything, it has to go back to your patriotism or to your nationality. You send that child tomorrow to Italy. You send that child tomorrow to another country in the world.
Okay.
What's going to push them to be the best citizen? This is not my country. Why should I be a good citizen? I should probably start causing chaos in this country because I don't like this country.
Yeah.
Or my country's got beef
Why
with
aren't
this
they
country.
following my ways?
Yeah. But if I'm a good Muslim, I don't care where I am in the world.
Yeah.
If I'm in Britain, I'll be the best British citizen. If I'm in America, I'll be the best American citizen. And that is why we teach our children to be the best possible Muslim that you can, because you're the best person then for your family, for yourself, and for society.
Absolutely. You know, you're adding value and you're adding your skill sets and your charm and your generosity to that community, to that country. And the thing is, you don't have to worry about no law, boy or girl. You're accountable to your creator.
You don't know about any CCTV cameras?
Yeah, don't worry about it, because if the children who understand this growing up with their faith and their adab and akhlaq, their morals and values and principles, don't worry about it. They're going to put the CCTV and all this, that, the other policing policing out the window, mate. It's going to, you know, you won't need it because they're accountable. You know, the way they are, just, fair, honest, and proactive. You know, and spreading goodness in various forms and fashions, and respecting women, children, the elders, likewise. So it's very. I think it's tickled something in my brain, you know, definitely. So I mean, we're just going to kind of like it's one of those discussions we can only hit upon bits and pieces. You know, this is about what the children require from us, and I know we've kind of overlapped. So we're gonna start concluding it. So we're not going to rush through. We're going to bring it to an end. And these are complementary to the other podcasts on Spotify and YouTube we've done. And remember, these discussions are essential. You get involved and tell us what you think and what we should talk about. And hopefully one day be here as well. Okay, just a quick one. Protecting the children from modern fitness. I know we've hit upon it. You know, parents teaching children how to navigate these temptations while remaining true to the faith. How to address issues like materialism, excessive consumption, consumerism, the pursuit of popularity, going back to social media, that the social media culture promotes. Encouraging Islamic modesty, chastity, especially in the environment that promotes hypersexuality. I'll say that very carefully, through media, fashion, and entertainment. You know, and we know, and even non-Muslims know, that ain't the real stuff. That ain't the real life. It's to sell products or look at me, look at it. So, how do we do that? You know, obviously fostering gratitude through shukr and contentment. You know, in children, teaching them value of simplicity. You know, just moving on fastly. So, how do we kind of like put that in a nutshell? And
I mean, it goes back to what we've been talking about all this time, and that is you leading by example. How can I expect my child to not be addicted to social media when I come home and all I do is I open up TikTok or whatever it is, Instagram, and I'm just scrolling through, and my child's seeing that happening, and then I see my child doing the same thing, and I'm saying, well, why are you doing this for? I don't like you doing that. You taught them. You're the one that's showing them that that's what's to be done. Likewise, when it comes to being materialistic, or you know, just chasing after the dunya as it is, if they see you just constantly doing that, then expect no differently. Now, let's in juxtaposition, let's see a good Muslim parent who's going to lead by example. I come home, just as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam would come home, and I greet the family. I give them salam. I come in a way that they look forward for me to coming home. Yeah. Okay. That automatically shows you that the importance of family. Okay, in terms of how I'm spending my time with them. I'm spending my time having actual conversations, talking with them. How did your day go? Speaking to the wife. How's your day? How are things at home? How's everything? They see the importance of having that interaction and not just interacting with the phone. Also, when it comes to, for example, materialism, my child sees me, for example, give up certain luxuries. When I'm fasting, it's a very basic thing, but we don't think about it sometimes.
Yes.
In Ramadan, I'm not indulging in food during the day. I'm giving it up for the sake of Allah. So they see the importance of Allah in your life. Wow, he's actually stopping eating and drinking. Forget about any other luxury. Eating and drinking, which is a necessity. And he's stopping it during the day. Why? Because of Allah. Allah is so important in my life. So here you are nurturing them by following your deen in front of them, publicly and privately. You are nurturing them to value their deen and to stay away from all these different fitnas that are out there. By you yourself doing that, and subhanallah, for example, if you're out with the family, you're driving, and salah time, let's stop on the side, go to a car park, pull up there, pray salah. They will no longer have that thing, that
fear, that shame, that
now most of the time, let's be honest,
Yeah.
Muslims are ashamed in their workplaces to take 5 minutes out to pray salah, whereas their co-worker has no problem going out to have a smoke, but you can't take 5 minutes to. So you showing your children that my deen comes first, and I practice my deen publicly and privately, you are nurturing them to want to follow their deen, and also that has the effect that with everything else, when it comes to the materialism aspect, when it comes to what was the other thing that you mentioned, dealing with the social media and all these things, you being the best possible Muslim, I think that is we overlook that simple idea that put your salah at the front, your ibadah for Allah, you striving to follow the way of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, following the sunnah, implementing it in your life. That is what will nurture them, inshallah, to navigate through all these different problems in society.
It's as we were discussing, and as you said before, leading by example. And this is one of the things, it's like modesty, even not just for, we're not talking about girls here, we're talking about guys here as well. And you can dress nice, you can smell nice, you can do this, there's a time and a place, and giving them options, because it does matter. Some things matter more to some children than other things. And I think, like with the media and the fashion and the entertainment, they have to find alternatives, so alternative fashions. And it says, like, alternative fashion doesn't mean it's going to be cheap, mate. Or your entertainment on your hobbies doesn't necessarily it's going to be cheap. It's going to be something that maybe other people are unaware of or want to do it, but they can't afford it. So there's always options out there. And I think encouraging them with stuff they want to do doesn't necessarily mean like abandoning their ideas altogether. It means, like, you encourage it, but you lead it through. There's some things in fashion we wouldn't do. There's some entertainment we wouldn't do. There's some social media sites we just wouldn't go on, and how to navigate it. So I think with the children, you've kind of speak their language, if you understand what I mean. And I think you've got it. You've hit it. You've pointed it out very nicely. I think lead by examples and options. There's plenty of stuff to do. Plenty of ways to do and fit in. Maybe you start off a trend through adab and akhlaq and manners, and even your fashion and even sense and stuff. SubhanAllah,
we mentioned about how do you deal with the social media aspect and them being just on their devices all the time. The Prophet ﷺ said, "علموا أولادكم السباحة والرماية وركوب الخيل." Teach your boys swimming and archery and horse riding. Teach them physical active. Make them physically active, and your girls as well. Teach them, for example, for the mother to teach them things that are more in touch with their feminine nature. Get them to be active in that sense. So again, going back to that thing of alternatives, finding things that are alternatives. Nowadays, you take the phones away, and it's like, what have we got to do? And this is maybe another topic that we can go on. But we talked about the when we took the lads on the. On the residential. Man, that was excellent. We said no phones.
That's right.
And some of them got so upset. But then we showed them that, listen, no phones. Look how much fun you can have. So showing them that, that there is so much out there. You don't need to, put all your things just in the phone. So taking away the phones for them 2-3 days out they were there, it worked wonders for them. So you have to do that, and don't it can't only be done just by the youth groups and all that. It has to be done as a family as well. That listen. It's a time now, we got to get together. Let's put the phones on the side. And you lead by example. I'm saying this by myself. We have those issues sometimes. You're like, phone, you got to sort out, your whole life's on the phone. Sometimes put that phone aside and give them that time. I think that's very important, that you lead by example. They see, how it should be done.
Absolutely. I think, leading by example and alternatives. So it's gonna have to kind of like pack
Yeah.
this in. We've dealt with as you mentioned, instilling responsibility and accountability. We've discussed elements of community services and charity, etc. I mean, maybe this is stuff that we can maybe hit upon later. The blessings of like giving sadaqah and community services.
Yeah.
So there's other things to do rather than just being on your phone. I mean, you can do productive things on your phone. Don't take me wrong.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. Obviously, sometimes it's important.
But
It's work.
what does it come down to? You sitting with them and going through that and giving them the
having the
option,
balance, yeah.
exposure in it.
Yeah.
And another thing is, and you mentioned this earlier as well, stuff like doing household chores and activities and schoolwork and spiritual elements of salah, fasting, being honest and stuff.
Yeah.
This comes into, I guess, the point of their education and what they're learning at home as well. Community service. Can we just quickly hit on encouraging community service? How small acts of charity, sadaqah, helping others and being responsible in the community they're in.
Yeah. Giving back to the community.
Can you just hit a little bit on that? Because it just gives me a totally different perspective as they grow into these people.
Yeah.
Where the communities, Muslim, non-Muslim, etc., can rely on them.
Mm. I think again, it's subhanAllah, it all stems down from obviously what you do as a parent. That's what we have to focus on. So let's say, for example, you have a role in the community, whether it be in the masjid or whether it be in your neighborhood, something like that. I think it's important that your children witness these things as well. I mean, let's take a very simple example. And subhanAllah, I love it how we can always relate it back to the deen. Let's start off with the deen. The Prophet ﷺ said that the part of Iman is to remove harm from the pathway. This is part of Iman, subhanAllah. This is something that we as Muslims believe we're going to get rewarded for. Now, I live on my street. Let's say I've got my little street. I have my neighbours there, both Muslims and non-Muslims. And I see that, there's a lot of rubbish around. I say, listen, me and my kids, we're going to come out, ask a few neighbours. Let's clean up the street a bit. Let's not just rely completely on council coming by and do this. And this is our street. Let's take pride in our street. Let's look after our road. Let's make sure that, we have some sort of way of keeping our streets clean, making sure people are not coming and littering the place. So a simple gesture like that, which has its basis in Islam, is so important for them to understand the importance of community. Another example is, for example, when what you're doing in the masjid, what you're doing in the local community. For example, I give my time volunteering when the masjid has programs, or for example when the masjid wants to feed the community. I'm there. I'm either donating, I'm either helping serving the rice, or whatever it may be. My child is there actively witnessing what I'm doing. But Dad, why you, or Mom, why are you doing this? It's because I care about the community. I want to give something back to the community, and they see the importance of giving back to the community. Whereas if you're somebody that just at home, it doesn't concern me what's happening outside my house, whether it be my neighbors, whether it be this or that, then you're teaching your child to not care about the community, to not give back to the community. Even in your job that you're doing, like for example, you being passionate about teaching. Why? Not only because it's serving me and it's putting the food on my, on the plate and roof over our heads, but also because I care about looking after the next generation. Or being a doctor, I care about the well-being of others. So they need to see that aspect of your job or what you do on a day-to-day basis, so that they can understand the importance of a Muslim giving back to the community. So I think that is, again, like I said, it's always going back to you leading by example, and you showing them what it is to be a good Muslim.
And it is kind of resonating with me that it's coming back to lead by example. Yes, it's something worth thinking about.
SubhanAllah, just if we can maybe even conclude on this ayah in terms of
please.
Reflect over this ayah. Allah says, "Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nara." This is a beautiful ayah that just sums up what we've been talking about. O you who believe, save yourselves primarily and your families from the fire. Allah did not say save your families from the fire. Allah said save yourselves and your families.
And
Meaning you yourself
Well,
sort yourself out
Yeah.
and sort your family out.
Yeah.
And you sorting yourself out is part of sorting out your family as well, because
Yeah.
you're taking accountability upon yourself. You're making
Accountability.
sure that I'm
Yes.
sorting myself out first, and then I look after my family, and then and that leads on to, you know, looking out for the neighborhood, the community,
Of course.
the nation, the society, and so on.
Think back and, you know, reevaluate yourself and how things could have been done better, where maybe we've overlooked certain aspects of things. And then it goes back to accountability, you know, and also sometimes reaching out and doing for others without expecting anything in return, but just giving that goodness, because that goodness could have a domino effect. They'll think, oh, this is the standard. We're gonna help. It's that domino effect. Help son, make sure you help 10 people, and tell each of those to help another 10 people. That's 100 right there, and then they're on their fourth. So and you know, it's fi sabilillah, for the sake of Allah.
And we're encouraged to do that in Islam.
We're encouraged.
Whoever starts off a good deed, he will have the reward of everybody that did it, and it will not be taken away from that reward at all. No, that 100th person that was the effect that you started off,
There you
you're
go.
getting that reward from that 100th person.
200, 300, 400 years down the line, someone's
Allahu
going to make
Akbar.
dua for you while you're still getting profit. Or, you know, it's like the ultimate pyramid scheme, the halal version. so alhamdulillah. So it's been a great conversation.
Yeah.
You know, everyone, we've hit upon topic. We've just hit on the surface of it. If there's any specific topics that you would like us to cover, we're on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're watching from. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. So this discussion, you're a part of this discussion. Please leave suggestions and comments. And maybe we could have you here one day, because this is a collective conversation. It's really important. Your feedback is very, very essential. You know, come back to, that will be your part of the discussion. So, you know, inshallah ta'ala, please, you know, tune in next time. And from me and Ustadh Umar, Ifti Qureshi, and Ustadh Umar, Jazakallah khair. Thank you. Appreciate it. Gracias for taking the time. And hopefully, you know, we'll be looking to hear from your feedback. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Adios.